Hello, everyone. This is John Maddox with his 800-pound deadlift update. So there's some crazy stuff that happened this past week in the gym, and it really explains a lot what's kind of happened to me the last, I guess it's almost like 3.5 months right now. But I know I've described to people that I had an issue where I was trying to do a power stiff leg deadlift, and it felt like my hip went out like this. Well, guess what? My hip actually went out. So on Thursday, my hip actually popped back in for the second time. So I think I mentioned to people, almost a year ago. It's August now. So roughly August, I think it was about a couple of weeks. So it's almost a year. Is when my hip actually popped back in after seeing Dennis Novelli for 4 months. And so the fact that the situation that I had trying to do a stiff-legged deadlift caused my hip to go back out again. Obviously, I was, staying away from doing those up through the meet that I did on July 20th. And luckily it was close enough that at least my lower back didn't have a chance to really get weak. And I will, have to figure out a way to, work around and try to get my lower back strong without doing at least a conventional stance. Because that's it. It's the conventional stance that puts a lot of pressure on my hip for some reason. So yeah. So when I went to that meet down in Ohio, my hip was out also. So not only did I have an ear infection, not only did I not deadlift off the floor for it was more than a year and a half. I actually my hip was out and I still deadlifted 655 pounds. So um, and I mentioned my first week back, what I did is that workout, I'm going to actually deadlift from the floor and practice a position. So when I do another meet, I'm not going to be getting there, putting my feet in different positions, trying to figure out how I'm going to deadlift the weight. And number two, I'm trying to get myself in a position where I make sure that I stay upright through the full range of movement. One of the issues I had at the meet is once I got it off the floor, which wasn't hard, my body just didn't know what to do next. I haven't practiced anything off the floor. So my hips came up and that created a little bit of a challenge for me. So it's just because I'm not used to pulling through that range of movement. So, but yeah, so it's interesting to have your hip pop in for the second time. So my hip actually feels really good today. And it really explains a lot that I've been feeling over the last like 3.5 months. All the I could always feel something there. I'm icing it multiple times a day, and it's not doing anything because my hip was out, and now it's back in again. So I do want to remind people, communityreviews.org, if you want to know what's really going on out there. So that's a platform that I own, and I do have a partner in it. His name's Steve, and we are trying to allow people to tell their stories there. Plus, I do an independent journalist update. I got a podcast over there too. So we're just trying to get the truth out, which everything is going to change going into next year, but it's going to look crazy through the end of the year. So we got a lot of information to help you get up to speed on that stuff. Don't really want to talk about it here. Um, so yeah, so Monday's workout. I don't know why I always say Monday, Tuesday. So on Monday, I had to go see Zweng because I mentioned last week on Thursday that felt like something was wrong with my hip. And it ended up that my pelvis was out. So when I saw Zweng on Monday, he put my pelvis back in. And now with my hip popping back in, actually, I feel really good right now. So, and then I saw Dennis also, but usually when you have an adjustment like that, when you put something in, then the next day on Tuesday, when you go to train, you can feel that there's some information there normally. So, and plus I took some antibiotics on Monday night and I think that messed with my system. So I really felt bad on Tuesday trying to get through my squats. And plus our gym is hot. I train at the Royal Oak Gym and during the summer, it can get hot in there. You can get humid sometimes. And I train in the morning. So, if it got real hot the previous day, it's not like they leave the doors open overnight, to let it cool down in there. So when you come in the morning, sometimes it can still be very humid and still very hot. So yeah, but I still squatted, 590. It just, I could feel my hip a little bit and my pelvis where they kind of popped it in. But I still got it up. I still did a negative of 680. And then, I did the assistant stuff that I normally do on a non-deadlift week, hip thrusts. I used to go up to 500 pounds. I like to pause them at the top. I'm trying to think what else. Glute ham, I'm always doing the glute ham. I do the one-legged leg presses that day. Obviously, I'm always doing the crunches, with the crunch machine. And, and then what I did for my hips is I'm going to have two separate hip workouts now. So one of the things that I started to do and I know I've mentioned this in an older video, is when my hip popped in a year ago, I was doing hips twice a day to try to get my hips strength up. And then what happened is I eventually just got to where I was overtraining my hip, and then I had to back off. And then soon after that, I actually got my all-time biggest squat of 635 pounds. I've not attempted to really go for an all-time squat. I've just been going up to the 680 negative. So I think on a good day here, I could probably, squat over 635 pounds. But what are you going to do until you do it? You haven't done it. So, but I'm going to, keep working on it, moving forward here. But I'm doing the inners now and the outers, with the machine that we have. And then this week here, I'm actually doing where I lift my thigh up against a weighted machine, right? Like this. I'm bringing my hip up, but to help develop the hips that way. All right. So that way I'm not doing those, every week. So that way I have the inner outer, because I'm only training 3 weeks in a row, then I take a week off. So it's deadlift and squat. And then now that's off the floor deadlift and squat. And then I got this workout, which is, all my assistant stuff other than deadlifting. And in my third week, I'm going to just deadlift like I've been, so that's like mid shin or a little higher than mid shin. I'm just not going to do any conventional work. So hopefully I can find a sumo position that is a combination, somewhere in between where I actually can get some lower back work too, but still have my hips wide enough where I don't aggravate the hip again and have the hip pop out. Because it is frustrating for me. I feel my deadlift would be substantially higher than where it's at right now. When you really can't train your lower back and concentrate on it like that, these power stuff like really concentrate on your lower back. It gives you the ability to deadlift significant weights very quickly if you can get up to speed on it. But when you can't do them because your hip, you have no stability in your hip or your hip pops out, obviously it doesn't make it fun. So anyways, when I got out of there on Tuesday, I was definitely tired. Didn't feel good going in. But on Friday, I actually felt pretty good. My hip just popped in the day before, and I went up to 380 on my two board. And the first time, I don't know, I just got in a bad position, and where I was, not pressing off my chest, I was more pressing up more towards my shoulders. And so I actually took it a second time, and then that time I actually got the form really nice, but I think I was a little bit worn out on the first one. And so I got it up a certain point, then Art had to help me to finish it off. So, hit 300 again is, probably the easiest I've ever did 300 pounds. I'm pretty sure I can do 300 for somewhere between 3 and 5 reps if I had to. So, I mean, it's improving still. My triceps are looking good. I'm actually still gaining weight. I do have like a little gym at home. So I've been trying to do a little bit of biking at my house in addition to what I do at the gym, because it's getting to the point my pants are starting to get tight. And I'm like, all right, it's okay about gaining weight, but, I don't want my gut to be too big, because for deadlifting, a lot of people don't understand this, but if your midsection has too much there, it can create a leverage issue for you. I've seen where people lose weight and their deadlift goes up. Like you said, your squat bench might go down, but you're actually deadlifting up because you can get yourself in a better position. So hopefully moving forward here, the hip, and then bent rows, because I haven't done them in a while. Since I skipped them that week of my last workout before the meet. And I didn't do them my first week back because my hip felt really bad because of, my pelvis being out. I just did 4 or 5 for a double. So I'm going to slowly start working that up. The most I've ever done with 4 or 5 is 6 reps. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw around with 4 or 5 here for the next number of workouts until I can break my 6 rep record. And that would be fun because it's always cool when you see somebody doing bent rows with 400 pounds and they're doing it pretty easy. But anyways, that's kind of my update. John's hip is back in. And he deadlifted at 655. He did it with his hip out. He did it with an ear infection. He did it without deadlifting off the floor for more than a year and a half, and he still was able to get that up. So I'll pay attention to see what's out there and see what we can do. With the elections coming up here, it's going to be getting crazy. So I'm probably gonna just hope that I can get in and train, because they're going to start pushing all types of stuff. In addition to some more vaccine mandates again. It's all about shutting people down from communicating. There's probably going to be probably going to shut the internet down, right? But I believe there's a backup and that it will be right back up again afterwards. They got a system that was created by Elon Musk. So, but you're going to see that they're going to take it down because, they don't want the stuff about the kids coming out. There's a lot of stuff that's going to drop here And it's really crazy. It shows how bad these people were that used to run our world. So anyways, John Maddox here. I'm still planning on deadlifting 800 pounds. So having my hip back in again for the second time, at least I know what not to do moving forward here. So hopefully next week I can pull some good weight, squat some good weight, and give you guys a good report. But anyways, thank you so much for checking in with John. I'll talk to you later.